Hey everybody, and welcome back for another retro edition of SHOREVIEWKEN, with a game that I've had a lot of fun with recently, and that's CLOCKWORK AQUARIO. Though it's only a quasi-retro review really, because this game was actually released at the tail end of 2021, and I'm just late to the party on this one as usual, but it was originally developed about 30 years ago and shelved when it was almost complete because it sort of flopped with arcade gamers when it was tested, presumably because everyone was busy with Street Fighter and Fatal Fury. Well, I guess someone thought better of it and put the finishing touches on this bad boy and released it for all of us to enjoy. Better late than never, as they say. So let's take a closer look at CLOCKWORK AQUARIO and find out what those tasteless test audiences torpedoed some 3 decades ago. When you first look at CLOCKWORK AQUARIO, you'll immediately notice two things. One is that this is an insanely bright and colorful game, one of the most vibrant games I've ever played, in fact, which makes sense if it was originally meant to grab the attention of passing arcade players. And the other thing you might notice is that these character designs look very familiar. That's because it was originally designed by Ryuichi Nishizawa and the team at Weststone, the same developer as the Wonder Boy series, so their art style is all over this game, and I must say, it's absolutely beautiful. I love the character designs, the enemies, the stages, and boss designs. It all looks amazing, and it's kind of sad that games that look like this don't get much distribution these days, but at the very least, it's great that we can play this game and marvel at this amazing artwork. And before we move on to the gameplay, I'll just add that the sound design is also fantastic, with an extremely catchy soundtrack that I've actually enjoyed outside of the game, and the sound effects and what little voice work there is are also really good. Now, about that gameplay. The gameplay in CLOCKWORK AQUARIO, as you might expect, with this being an arcade game and all, is very straightforward and simple. In essence, it's an action platformer that tasks you with defeating enemies, collecting power-ups, and popping balloons. You have 2 methods for dispatching enemies. You can either slap them or jump on top of them, and when they're stunned, you can pick them up and lob them at other enemies. And the more enemies and balloons you can destroy in rapid succession, the more bonus points you can rack up. You can only sustain 2 hits before you die, but by picking up a red potion, you can restore your health. Otherwise, it can be used as a weapon to throw at enemies. Also, you only have 3 lives per credit, but by picking up the different colored gems that some enemies and balloons drop, you can earn extra lives as indicated by the 1-up counter next to your character portrait, and at the end of each stage is a boss battle, and these are honestly the trickiest parts of the game, but after a few attempts, the patterns are pretty easy to learn, and if you're lucky enough to get the almighty star power-up, you can make short work of any of the game's bosses. And eventually, I was able to breeze through a single-player playthrough in about 25 minutes. Of course, you can also play through this game co-op style, which is really fun, and opens up a bonus stage that is strictly for 2 players only. Even though this game is short and not particularly challenging, it is really fun while it lasts, and you can play for high scores if you really want to. You initially have easy, medium, and hard difficulty modes to choose from, and the only real difference is the number of continues you have, and after you beat one of those modes, You unlock the proper arcade mode where you have as many continues as you want. Aside from that, you can play the bonus game from the start menu, and there's also a gallery mode included, which gives you some very nice production art to look at and a little bit of background about the game itself. And that's about it. All things considered, this is a fairly easy and short but very fun arcade game with some really great visuals and sound. And even though it's a Japan exclusive release, it comes with a bunch of different language options so that more people can enjoy it more easily. So if you're a fan of old school games by Westone or just arcade platformers in general, I'd highly recommend giving this quirky little game a try. It's Clockwork Aquario, and it's awesome.
Awesome!